Hey everyone, welcome to our Acctivate version 11 User Experience Improvements webinar. I'm Eva Rhees, and I'm the Client Solution Specialist here at Acctivate. This webinar is the first in a series of 3 to dive deeper into what's new in Acctivate version 11. I'm really excited to show you all the new features that the Acctivate team has been working very hard on. Today, we're talking about our new list windows, new navigation, and a new way to organize your workspace in Acctivate. Let's go ahead and get started. First, let's talk about the new window tabs. This is one of my favorite parts of Acctivate version 11. You'll be able to see all your currently open windows in Acctivate and navigate seamlessly between them through the use of these new tabs. Before, you had to go up to the window menu and look for the window that you wanted to make active, but no more. Now, working between sections of Acctivate is easier than ever. The window tabs will show even when you aren't viewing the windows in full screen. Alright, now let's talk about another big enhancement to version 11, the left menu navigation. The new left menu has been added to allow you to navigate quickly and easily to the new list windows. If you have a smaller screen or would like some additional workspace, then the left menu will collapse and just show you the icons. This isn't going to override your current icon bar, but it's an addition to it that could help you navigate to the most important sections of Acctivate. To go along with the left menu navigation, we now have new windows for your customer, sales, product, transactions, vendors, purchases, and business activity lists. These new list windows give you the ability to quickly search or filter and present your most important data in a concise view. The old windows for these records are now being referred to as the edit windows. So, if you were to select edit here on the customer list, the old customer window would open up in edit mode so you can make changes to the data such as changing an address or adding a new contact. The lookup windows that you're used to using are not found in the new list windows. Instead, you have a new dynamic search function that will instantly search the list based on what you type. In my example here, you see that I have typed TH. Instead of waiting for me to finish typing, the search is looking for values that match instantly. With this search functionality, you'll find results that much faster. When searching your customer list, you don't have to memorize a specific value in order to search for a record. Acctivate's new list windows can search on multiple fields at a time, such as by company name and by location. In my example here, I typed TX, and the search found customers where the state was TX for Texas. The same filtering capabilities from Order Manager are also used in the list windows. Match on one or multiple data points. The selection of fields is based on the type of list that you're looking at. In this case, you see me filtering on the salesperson ID for a list of that salesperson's clients. I've also went ahead and saved this filter so it's something that other users can access. They will be able to see it when selecting the drop-down at the top of the list window. As we select a record in the list, Acctivate will display the related data in an insightful manner. Each different list type will have different information made available in the views. The view for the customer list, as seen here, includes a timeline of activity as well as a product list. This new timeline view, for customers and vendors especially, will allow users to make sense of the data quickly for better decision making. For example, when we look at the customer timeline, we'll see a blend of CRM-like data, such as notes, emails, business activities, and so on. We'll also see transactional data, like invoices, sales orders, and payments. You'll be able to build better relationships with your customers and vendors by identifying recent communications, open order information, and key insights. This leads to better understanding of how your customers communicate with you, what products they like or need, and how often they purchase from you. The timeline will show items in date order, starting with the most recent transactions. This is a view of what transactions show in the customer timeline. Most of the list windows will have a timeline for the records. You'll be able to view all transactions, or select one or more types and view them more concisely. The Look For function will also allow you to search for specific records. If you look at the far right of the list window, you'll see a quick summary of relevant information on that record. We are looking at the customer list, and so we see the customer's balance, their lifetime sales, customer type, branch selection, as well as salesperson, and when the customer was created. We also have a list of contacts and addresses that are just below that. For each list type, we'll switch out the information that shows in this right panel itself. We've added some smart date functionality in the timeline views as well. These smart dates are really cool. They'll actually use the shipping dates on the sales order. So there is a hierarchy. If there's a promise date, we'll use that first. Otherwise, we'll use the requested date. If there's a not before or a not after date, we'll use those in conjunction with the promised and requested dates. You'll see that the date is green, like the top one here, when the date is 7 days out or more. Orange dates are coming up within the next 7 days, and red dates are past due. This will give users the ability to quickly tell if an order needs to be expedited in fulfillment. We've also added some new windows for a simple and easy to read presentation of transactions like sales orders, invoices, business activities, and more. These new windows will allow those users that don't understand sales orders, which honestly are most users in Acctivate, it will allow those users to review these orders quickly. When viewing these new windows, you'll see that there's an option to edit the transaction, where applicable, which opens the order entry window that you're used to. It will also allow companies utilizing e-commerce or EDI orders to review those orders without having to open the order entry window itself. This gives you a view of what the sales list looks like in version 11. We've got the list on the left with a detailed view of the selected record on the right. This view is the same as what you'd see if you opened this order from the customer list. The right panel of info shows the current order status and the last change, in addition to the contact associated to the order. In the main section, you'll see the order detail information, showing an easy-to-read grid, what items are on the order, along with their quantity, price, and amount. If you have assembly transactions that you've created from the sales order, those will actually show under the related detail line. And the same thing goes for special order or dropship purchase orders that are related to the sales order. Those will show on those same lines. You'll be able to review the notes and emails as well as shipments and invoices related to the sales order in the timeline view. So this view allows you to see the correspondence with the customer if it's been added to the sales order. If a business activity is related to the order, it will show in the timeline as well as with its status. I've seen the order timeline utilized for customer service teams to quickly see when the last correspondence was on an order or when the shipment or invoice were created. We show the product ID, the description, and the list price of the item in the product list itself. When you select a product record, you can view more specific information. The product view actually has more tabs than the rest of the list windows. We have the inventory tab to show what is currently available in your warehouses, as well as what the bin location stocking levels are and the average cost. The info section on the right shows the most relevant information about the product, its type, class, cost method, etc. You'll use the product list view to make sure your inventory is where it should be. The product timeline gives the user the opportunity to see if the item has had any recent activity. The timeline will show all product transactions, as well as open sales and purchase orders, notes and emails, and business activities. Essentially, if you're familiar with the old product screen, we're combining the history and the transactions tabs into the timeline. On the product prices tab, you can review the configuration of product prices. You'll see the cost-based pricing listed based on the warehouse, because each warehouse can have a separate cost. We'll also show you any pricing rules that you have set up, such as quantity pricing rules or expiration dates. We've also added a brand new view that didn't exist except in report form for your inventory. The Insights tab will give users the power to make business decisions related to past sales transactions for that product. You can filter on just one warehouse or on all of them. We show your last sales transaction date for the item, as well as the top 5 customers and how much they've purchased of that item. Price code usage is helpful for making decisions on which prices are used more than others, and when you may need to change your pricing. The analysis section can be updated with the slider at the top of the tab to change the time period of consideration. So for example, if I were to slide that slider to the left, I could look at the section of sales over the last 3 months. When your product selected has a bill of materials, you'll be able to see the list of components as well as how those components go into the final product. If you have sub-assemblies, you will see all levels in the graph, but only the current level will show in the components list. I use the usage graph all the time when creating assembly products just to make sure my flow of raw materials is correct. The inventory transactions list is also one that was not available in previous versions of Acctivate. You will now be able to review all transaction types at once. Unposted transactions also have a new term associated with them. We are now referring to them as draft transactions, just to separate them a little bit more fully from posted transactions. In this receipt that I have pulled up, you'll notice on the far right panel that the related vendor and PO number are included for it as well. I found that the new list windows are very helpful for one inventory transactions in particular, and that's the assemblies. I can review the cost of goods of the final product, as well as see the components that went into making it in this new view. The lot numbers for all items will also be shown as necessary. I no longer have to run a report to see the information related to the transaction. One of our other brand new lists is the vendor list. Yes, you can actually see your list of vendors in Acctivate now. The vendor list and timeline view are very similar to the customer list and timeline. We'll show the related purchase orders and invoices, transactions such as receipts and landed costs, notes, as well as business activities in the timeline. This view will help you make relevant purchasing decisions based on recent communications with the supplier. We've also added the list of products per vendor to the vendor list view. This list of products encompasses all products ever purchased from this vendor, as well as products where the supplier is listed with or without a price. This list will give insights into products most commonly purchased from this vendor, as well as lead times and other significant points. Purchasing in Acctivate can have multiple statuses. So you can manage your purchase orders in this list and see how many of each type you have with the use of the filters. The purchase orders view is very similar to the sales orders view, except that it shows what's received and what's outstanding currently. We also have a new way to view business activities. If you don't have the business activity module, you won't even see this list on the left menu. If you do have the module, then the list is a way to review the activities that may have been edited recently, or you can filter them based on maybe the type of activity, things like that. You'll see the related items for the specific activities in the bottom of the view. All right, so now I'd like to open up the floor to you guys to answer any questions that you may have about what we talked about in version 11. Go ahead and open up the chat function in YouTube and put in a couple of questions and we'll answer those live for you. While we're waiting on these questions to come in, I just want to say a really big thank you to all the companies that helped us with our preview builds of Acctivate for all of your feedback and everything that you did to test Acctivate version 11 for us. We've got quite a few new improvements. Some of them are going to be coming in and we're going to be talking about them in the next 2 webinars. All right, so we've got our first question. So Acctivate has actually worked with eBay for a very long time. The first question was, does it work with eBay? We have a direct integration to the eBay API. Another question is there a way to have more than one vendor address? Not currently. Vendors are still currently managed within your QuickBooks file, but you will be able to view vendors in Acctivate now. Next question, will we need to remap any custom reports to work with this new version? We try very hard to make sure that your database views that you use when making custom reports are not affected when you change over to a different version of Acctivate. That being said, they are custom reports, and so we can't guarantee that they aren't going to be affected. So keep that in mind when making decisions on when you guys are going to update. So the next question is, what are we going to lose from the previous version? You're actually not losing anything. All of the same windows are there. We're just adding some. So you've got some new navigation with the new list windows themselves. And then you're also going to be able to use the current windows that you're used to right now, which are what we're calling the edit windows. How well do the screen grids export to Excel? That's a really good question. I honestly don't think I've tried on the timelines, but we do have quite a few other grids that we switched out that do actually export great to Excel itself, sorry. Do we have a direct API for Wayfair, Overstock, or Amazon? We do have a direct API connection for Amazon. Wayfair and Overstock are ones that you will need to put in a support request for and tell our support team that you're interested in adding those enhancements. This is a great question. What bug fixes should be expected? There are a lot of bug fixes in this new version of Acctivate. With this, we do have our release notes on the downloads page. So you will be able to see those and actually see what we've changed at a detail level. Because I don't think I would have time to go through every single bug fix in our questions today. Will Acctivate work on an install of Express SQL? Is there going to be any latency with 40 plus users actively using features such as active search? This is something that our support team would probably be more equipped to kind of answer specific to your situation itself. But in my experience, using 40 plus users installing with a version of SQL Express, that does actually have some limitations just because of Express itself, having limitations with the use of RAM and things like that. So we would suggest using standard when you have that many users. Will any data be lost when we download the new version? No, it will not. We definitely make sure that your database is secure every time that an update comes out. So your database will still be there, just like it is now. So again, vendors are still going to be created in QuickBooks. We're going to just allow you in version 11 to view a list of your vendors, but any changes to the vendors themselves would still need to happen in QuickBooks. Just looking over and seeing if there's any other ones to answer before these last ones. Okay. Does it affect any EDI transactions or EDI imports? The new Acctivate version 11 doesn't really have any major changes to EDI transactions or imports. There may be some smaller changes made or bug fixes, things like that, but there's no big changes there. And this question is, can we do mass email? You can do mass email from within Acctivate. Granted, there are some different limitations with using mass email within any system nowadays due to all of the new regulations and everything. So that's something that you can speak to our support team about, see if they have any feedback for you on how you're doing your mass emails maybe, or we can help you with exporting out your customer list so that way you can use a different service for marketing. This is a good question. How long was version 11 beta tested? It's been quite a few months. In fact, we have been using version 11 for, I want to say, about a year internally. And so we definitely make sure to run through virtually everything that we can in testing before we give it out as a general release. And the first service pack will be available. Typically, they're available within 3 to 4 weeks of the general release, but it can be changed. It can be sooner, it can be later, just depending on what kind of fixes are required. Again, all updates are up to you to kind of determine when you want to update. There are definitely considerations when you have a cloud hosting provider. They may determine that, they're going to update all customers that are hosted by that provider at once. And so you don't really have much control over when that update will happen. But other customers that are hosting their own servers, you can update at any point that you see fit. We'll wait a few more minutes for some additional questions, but we may be logging off a little bit early today. All right, here's another one. Oops, I missed it. Is there a quick and easy way to swap between customer contacts for emails? We haven't changed really a lot of the things with the emails just yet. I do know that this is something that has been asked for a couple of times, to kind of have a contact list to switch between on emails. So I think that may be something that we may look to do in the future. All right. So I wanted to say thank you for joining us on our webinar today. I know it was a bit shorter. The next one in April, on April 8th, will actually be a little bit longer because we're going through all of the really big enhancements we've made to our warehouse layout configuration, our picking route optimization, batch order picking. I'm really excited for that one because that's a really big change. Then on April 22nd, we're going to go over our order processing optimizations and how we've kind of added in different options to allow you to guide your users throughout the order process. So if you have any additional questions, please feel free to email them to our support or sales teams. They are definitely willing and able to help you with anything you guys have. I really appreciate you guys joining me today, and we'll see you next time.